If we had that document, Judge, I don't think we would have had to file the case at all. If the document was, we're going to hold it back and exclude and be anti-competitive. I also think we have not had full access to whatever they may have claimed privilege over.
Okay, I'm not.
No, but I think it's unfair for counsel to point to evidence of absence as saying, oh, well, that means it didn't exist or didn't happen. But I'll move on. The case law does not require that we show something as a must-have. The scarcity and the need for this content is why they shelled out $8 billion or $7.5 billion for ZeniMax and $70 billion now.
But not just for Call of Duty.
No, but we seem to be going back and forth on they're getting some other things. But I think Microsoft's model has been very clear, and the documents about using the Call of Duty franchise to drive subscribers and scale. I also want to say, when defense counsel says it's just like Seinfeld or a TV show being on one subscription service or another, Mr. Kotick came and he had a warning about that world. His testimony was he hates that world. He said he came from Los Angeles, and that world has been death for creators.
Which is why he won't put the games on Game Pass or up in the cloud, right?
But,
so I don't know you. I mean, you point that out, and that suggests without the merger, it's not, then people aren't going to have it available to get it by a subscription.
Or I have the nuance, if I may, Your Honor, or he reaches deals with everybody and gets paid by everybody instead of just getting in one subscription service. So instead of Seinfeld just being on Netflix or wherever it is, the people who own Seinfeld reach their deal with Netflix and Peacock and Disney Plus, and we have more access instead of the walled gardens. So Mr. Kotick is, I think, savvy about his own business. And he said he hates the world that Ms. Wilkinson just said is where they're going.
Okay, can we go to the balance of the equities, which we get to if there's showing of a likelihood of success? And Warner is the Ninth Circuit case, right, that I look at and sets that. And we know that private equities, while they can be considered, they can't alone counter-show or justify denial of a preliminary injunction. But Warner's then said if the record is conflicting on the anti-competitive effects, the public entity, the public equities there, including beneficial economic effects and, or if sorry, you know what Warner says. But what I want to get to is Warner then said there, even though we have conflicting evidence, so we can't say that the public equities include these beneficial economic effects or advantages for consumer if we stop the merger now, because there's conflicting evidence. There was a different public equity there, which was if the merger happened, it was going to be very difficult to divest, right? It was going to be very, and here, my understanding is there's going to be a parent-sub relationship. And so really the only question here is, as you said, is to stop the merger. We know there are some private equities. They've been very publicly stated. That's why we're here in such a rush. And so then what is the countervailing public equity that you would point to?
Sure. The fact that defendants say they will keep Activision as one of their limited enterprises and somewhat at a remove from Microsoft is not the same as a hold separate. So the harm will start the day the deal closes. And it will start that day because that is the day Mr. Ryan and anyone else who makes content for platforms will start looking a different way at Activision and sharing proprietary information about their platform. So it's not just about Sony, although we have the evidence from Sony. Who is going to contact Activision and say, great, here's my new platform. Can we optimize Call of Duty for this new platform? That's going to do 6 new things. That would be great if we work together the day after the merger, because that info goes to Microsoft. The harms do start, Your Honor, immediately. This is not whole factories. This is intellectual work, and it's about partnerships. And so there is one public equity that starts right away. I would also say, we'll put it in our conclusions of law, the private equity, their interest in simply doing their deal, which I know is very important to the defendants, cannot outweigh the public's interest in ensuring a full adjudication.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah.
However, Warner recognized that but that they're not irrelevant. They're not irrelevant, and you still have to identify some public equity.
Yeah.
I know you have, but I'm just looking right at Warner.
So
right?
the public equity, Judge, is that the harms in this case start immediately.
Okay.
I want to address that. That's just not true with Call of Duty. As you know, there is a contract that's going through the end of 2024 that came into evidence to ensure that Call of Duty stays on PlayStation till at least then.
Yes.
So even if
that's-
Sony doesn't accept our offer, and again, I just want to say, Your Honor, how can it be withholding when they don't want to agree with us?
okay.
But regardless of what Microsoft wants, there's indisputable evidence that they follow their contracts when they acquire studios. The government proved that for us.
Yeah. What about that? I mean,
I'm not sure I follow the point either.
They made a big deal. I'm sorry, you go ahead.
no dev needs to be sent over from Microsoft. Call of Duty that's being released in November will be released on PlayStation.
Yes.
So your August 2nd hearing can go forward. Nothing's going to happen. At least that I've read. I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is you guys should address it in your submissions tomorrow.
What else it is not static. This is not just about, oh, let's wait for the next contract negotiation. Microsoft is hard at work on its next console. PlayStation is hard at work on its next console. And the record evidence is that these conversations about optimizing for a new generation take place years.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Just point it out in your submissions. Okay. So, appreciate the argument. So tomorrow, as I said, I've given you this deadline because I want to save your holiday weekend. But by 5 p.m. tomorrow, your proposed findings of fact, conclusions of law, which may be submitted under seal, along with a Word version, emailed to Ms. Means. And then if you could by Monday at noon, just submit a joint appendix of the exhibits that were admitted into evidence. And if possible, as well as a new share file with just those exhibits. That way I know I have them all that way. I don't think that should be too much work there. I'm sure you could use ChatGPT to create your appendix. Microsoft.
I'm not going to say anything.
We will not be doing that. My colleague has a quick logistical
Yes.
question.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a quick question about when the actual date to file the public version of the filings that we'll be submitting to Your Honor next Friday. We had talked to defendants and a date to offer.
By next Friday, you mean tomorrow?
Right. So we're submitting
the
public versions,
yes.
our findings of fact and conclusions of law by tomorrow.
What would you like? When do you think you can get knowing that we have a holiday?
Discussed and floated July 12th as a potential date, assuming that works for Your Honor's schedule.
Did you do the 7th? No, was that too hard? Right.
Right. And reaching out to the third parties
And no
reporting on
Sharpies.
all the evidence. Yes. So, and in light of the holiday next week, we were floating that idea. We could get it done earlier, but that was I
don't know. What do you think?
Defense counsel.
Your Honor,
So the findings of fact and conclusions of law that you initially submitted, redacted versions are on the docket?
yes.
Okay, the 12th is fine. You can,
Thank
I
you.
just don't want that to slow down your opinion, and you've been very generous with your time, and we realize that, but
No, that won't. So
won't
let me
affect-
tell you what I decide. I don't know when I'm going to get it out, but obviously I'm mindful. So don't expect, for the judges that take 2 or 3 months on these to get the same work on it. I'm sorry. I'll file my order under seal, and then I'll ask you to provide me jointly with your proposed redactions. Also try to write it in a way that we don't need so many redactions. Frankly, and someone may very well appeal. I leave it on you to tell the Ninth Circuit where in the record, those kinds of things. That'll help speed things up quite a bit. lastly, I do want to congratulate the parties on your presentation and your civility. It was pretty extraordinary. I don't get to see this level of advocacy very well. You were on tight deadlines. I was pretty, demanding in terms of documents and things. You all met them. Everyone, I especially wanted the FTC because I'm a government employee. You don't have quite the same resources they do. And yet your team was able to keep up with that in terms of that presentation. And I'm very much appreciative of both sides. Yeah, I'm going to do my best. It's hard. That's all I can say, but I very much appreciate the presentation that everyone did. And I also appreciate how both sides gave many attorneys the opportunity to take witnesses. I think that was to your benefit and to your clients' benefits because it enabled the presentations, I think, would be better if we were sharing that. So spread that word. Okay. All right.
Very much. Sharon.
Yes.
I do have one housekeeping
Of
matter.
course.
Sorry to end on that
That's
note.
all right.
We had several sealed portions of videos that I wanted to make sure both that Your Honor has them and has access to them. And I also wanted to move to admit the clip reports for some of those videos and the underlying material. It's really just the actual clip reports that we thought would be helpful to have numbers admitted into the record.
Okay. I did read the transcripts in full. So I read them all of Mr. Singer, Mr. Eisler, Mr. Fisher.
And it's Mr. Fisher and Mr. Eisler, as well as the Mr. Ryan sealed clip report that we were hoping to just admit into evidence quickly.
Sure.
So the Mr. Ryan sealed clip report is PX 3378. Mr. Fisher sealed clip report is PX 3379. The Mr. Fisher public clip report is PX 3380. The Mr. Eisler sealed clip report is PX 3381. And the Mr. Eisler public clip report is PX 3382. And the Mr. Fisher full deposition transcript is PX 7062.
All those exhibits are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.